Hey guys, this is the House for Gun Gamers. I hope you all had a very Merry Christmas or just a good day if you don't celebrate. Back to normal. We didn't have an article on Thursday. It was Christmas Eve. We were all busy. But today for the video, I'm going to talk about my Mission Spec EOC, not the Red Wolf edition. I wish that had been out when I bought mine, but I've been running this guy for a while, so I'm going to give you my thoughts on it and how I have it set up. So the Mission Spec EOC, in my opinion, is what it states. It's an essentials only carrier. It is meant to have just what you need on it. And while this might mean different things for different people depending on their use, you know, if you're a real world kind of guy, or if you're using this for the range, then you might just have magazines on here and maybe a hydro. If you're an airsofter, you know, like me, then for me this means I want to have just some essentials on my front that I can get to and some essentials on my back that a teammate can get to. And this is my just light, go hard, go fast assault rig. So if you're using this for airsoft gaming like I am, maybe you'll want to take a look at how I have this set up, and maybe you'll want to consider either this or the Red Wolf edition, or any combination of the two, because Mission Spec will do custom work. You'll pay for it, but custom work is never cheap. But we'll get to that in a minute. So how I have this set up is the Mission Spec EOC base with the shoulder savers, shoulder pads, which if you're wondering if they're worth the extra $30, they absolutely are. They're very comfortable, routing comms through them, routing hydro through them, very easy. They're absolutely worth the extra money, and it puts the carrier at 150 bucks. So yes, get the shoulder savers. Then I've got 3 HSGI taco pouches and an ATS flat horizontal utility pouch mounted on the front of those, just so I can have some admin space and doesn't jut off of me too much. I mean, this doesn't come out really any more than a double mag pouch. Then on the back, I have the Faro Concepts assault back panel. Went over that in a previous video, so you can take a look at that if you want to know more. So in that, I've got hydro, I've got my grenades, my comms, all set. And I've got my PTT on the side here, still experimenting with the best placement for it. I found up here, I didn't love it because the wires kind of got in the way of the magazines, but we'll find out, and the final version will definitely be showing up in some pictures if we start sharing more of those. So in terms of my thoughts on the carrier itself, is it worth it? Absolutely. This is a premium quality USA made rig for a base price of $120 in Coyote Brown, $130 in multicam or any of the other weirder camos, and $150 for the Coyote Brown or Ranger Green or basic colors with the shoulder savers, $160 for the weird camos with the shoulder savers. Absolutely worth it. That you can't get some clone rigs for that much. It's really, really worth it. In terms of what it does well versus other options, it sits really well. And that's because of the unique feature of these straps being adjustable to these different areas that you can mount. So I've got the 2 bottom mounting points used on the back and the 2 top mounting points used on the front. And as you can see, that makes the carrier sit properly on both sides of my body, especially when there's water in that hydro, because then it'll want to sag, but the sagging won't work as well because those straps are just preventing it from going down too far. So absolutely, that unique feature alone really sets it apart from a lot of the other rigs on the market, especially when you're looking in this price range, because if you're looking at in this price range of, $150 or less, a lot of what you're looking at is clone rigs, and clone rigs often, they just don't nail the adjustment the way some of the real deal rigs do. Now you can get like a Shellback Tactical Banshee for about 160, 170 bucks, and if that's what you're looking for, then get a Banshee. But so what this does well is it sits really, really well on both sides and just has plenty of space that you can load up your essentials, but that's really it. It's a lightweight carrier, and that's what it's meant for. It's meant to be a lightweight carrier, almost in the vein of a JPC, but it costs a lot less money. What else this doesn't do that a JPC style rig might do, or something else might do, and this is where we get into a con of the rig potentially, depending on what you're looking for, is you can't really mount anything on the side. You can. These are spaced so that you can weave malice clips onto the, onto the straps. But would you want to? I tried doing that a little bit, and you can use zip ties to secure them to the front, but if you're putting more than one pouch on the side, or if you're trying to mount anything that might jostle around, it's not worth it. And again, I think it defeats the purpose of the rig. And I've got my PTT mounted here, which might not be the perfect location. I'm still messing with it. But if you want an essentials only rig, you probably want your sides clear so you can access whatever's on your battle belt, because you almost definitely want to run a battle belt with this. This is not a standalone, I mean, it can be, depending on how you run, but if you run a pistol, you're gonna be running a battle belt with this, so you can have your pistol magazines, unless, you mount them on here. But I run a battle belt with it, and having my sides clear to access what's on my battle belt is great, because there's nothing here to impede my handgun draw. There's nothing here to impede reaching for my secondary magazines. It's just great. But if you want to mount stuff on the sides, or if you want to have space to put stuff on the sides, the EOC isn't the rig for you. That's by design. Another downside of the rig, which is fixed in the Red Wolf Airsoft Edition and might not be a downside depending on what you're looking to do with this rig, is mounting a back panel on this rig. The top of the back is exactly like the top of the front. These plate pockets are totally symmetrical. So as you can see, there is Velcro here, and you have 5 rows of PALS webbing. So when you're mounting the Faro Concepts Assault back panel, that means the very top bit doesn't have any actual PALS webbing to hook into. So I used some paracord to get around that issue. It's not a huge problem, especially depending on what you're mounting, but it is there. Be aware of that. So if you're trying to mount a flat pack or something, you might need to get creative. Or you might have to deal with it sagging down, because you might have to mount it just a little lower than you would like. So be aware of that, but overall, $150 for what I was looking for, just a lightweight rig that I could load up with enough for a big game, but still be, this is tight and light and doesn't jut out weirdly anywhere. I love it. I think it's a great rig. I think it's made excellently. The workmanship is great. It's super comfortable because of the spacer mesh on the inside here. There's all spacer mesh. The shoulder saver pads are shoulder savers. I'm sorry, that was bad. But everything about it I really like. But for $220 from Red Wolf Airsoft, you can get the Red Wolf Airsoft Edition EOC, and Robo Murray has a great video on that. There are several great videos on that, which lets you integrate a chest rig and has the extra row of PALS webbing in the back so that you can mount a back panel. So if you're looking to save a little bit of money and you might not want to integrate a chest rig, for $150 for a USA-made premium plate carrier that will hold up to a large plate, I think you're doing pretty good. But for anyone who's looking to load up on their sides, look elsewhere. This isn't a carrier that you load up. I wouldn't be able to mount my Tactical Tailor removable operator pack on the back of here either. This is not a carrier that you're meant to load up a ton. This is a carrier that you're meant to just put whatever you need on. And overall, that's about it. That's all I've got to say. So the Z House signing off, and I hope you all have a good new year.